We know it can be hard to talk to an avoidant partner without triggering them, but there are some things you can do to help them out. And we want to give you some tips and an example script of exactly what you can say to handle this dynamic. We want you to be prepared to go into a conversation or a conflict with your partner in the best way possible.
So we're going to start with empathy. The best way to develop empathy for someone is to understand them well. The thing you have to understand about your avoidantly attached partner is that they're hardwired to disconnect and avoid. This hardwiring came as a result of relational experiences that were wounding to them. These wounds caused attachment adaptations, which resulted in their avoidant attachment style. In other words, their experiences in relationships taught them that handling things internally was safer than trying to get their emotional needs met in relationships. Your avoidant partner may have grown up in an environment where their emotional needs were never met. Their caretakers were most likely not attentive to them when they were young. They may have been directly told to handle their emotions on their own, or they may have been made fun of for showing emotions. Maybe they had a sibling who required a lot of attention and they never felt consistently loved. Their caretakers may have given them the message to suck it up or that big kids don't cry. In all of this, they learned that they were safer not feeling heavy emotions, that they were better off on their own. In whatever relational experiences they had, they were given the message that their needs are not to be valued, prioritized, or tended to. So they are naturally reluctant to engage in conversations that will bring up or require emotions. If you are a parent now or wish to become one, you would never wish this for your children, right? You would never even want to treat a pet this way, to disregard their needs. Imagine being a child having all of the intricacies of the human experience, and for many, these wounding experiences happened before they were able to verbalize. This must have been hard for them. And that's something that you can empathize with. That's a good baseline of understanding for you to have for them.
And some people say, well, I never treated them poorly, so they shouldn't be avoiding me. But that's not how our attachment systems work. You see, attachment is deeply rooted and it gets triggered without our awareness of it. Think of it like a fight or flight moment with a dangerous animal. Let's say you were walking in the woods and enjoying the sights and the sounds and the smells that come with that experience. And all is going well until you see a bear. How quickly would that experience change for you? Instantly. And in that instant, your cognitive thinking would probably stop altogether, and your body would just react. Now, this is a dramatic example, and a conversation with another human probably wouldn't bring up as dramatic of a reaction. But the instant nature of our reactions with one another is nearly identical. We react internally before we even recognize that we've been triggered. Let's say things are going well in your relationship, you're experiencing what feels like a healthy connection, and then you come to them with an emotion like sadness or anger, and the experience instantly changes. You see, your avoidant partner becomes upset. Maybe they get defensive or they shut down. What happened in that split second is that their attachment system was activated. And this happened without cognitive awareness. Knowing all this can help you understand and empathize with their experience instead of taking it personally. And that's another thing you can empathize with, the human experience of having a reaction that's out of your control.
When you're starting a conversation with your avoidant partner, know that their default attachment adaptations will probably be triggered. Remember, those adaptations help them to feel safe, and their reaction will not be ideal for you. But you didn't cause this reaction necessarily. You are just the person who happens to be triggering the old wounds at this moment.
Next, you need to get to the root before you engage. Don't be reactive in emotional conversations, be proactive. When you're reactive, your own defense mechanisms will be triggered. You'll enter into your fight or flight responses, and your partner will sense that energy immediately. Once they do, they'll revert to their natural defense mechanisms too, and the conversation's over. The chances of you getting your point across and feeling heard and understood are basically reduced to zero. So you can't be reactive. You have to be proactive. Figure out the root emotions that you're feeling so that you don't react from the surface emotions like anger or fear. You see, the surface emotions are the ones that will overwhelm your avoidant partner. The root emotions will keep the pace of the conversation moving slowly and deliberately. Two important reasons why it's important to communicate using root emotions are: number one, using root emotions helps you slow down before you enter into a conversation. It requires intentional thought and reflection on what you're experiencing. And this will help you truly understand what you need to feel safe. Because if you take the time to be curious about why you're upset in the first place, you may realize that the root of your upset is something your partner would never be able to guess. It could be a feeling of rejection or disrespect. Or you may discover that what you're feeling is something your partner might not need to be involved in the soothing process with at all. You may be able to soothe yourself if you understand what's really going on. Ultimately, When you discover your root emotion, you can share with them without any confusion what you're feeling and what you need from them. And this helps you enter into the conversation well grounded and with a plan of action. Number two, using root emotions will model to your partner what you want them to do. When you use your root emotions, you're moving from a place of security and bringing a healthy dynamic into the relationship. Operating from that place is ultimately what you want from your partner. So change the pattern of the relationship by leading the way. Because if you want your partner to stay grounded and to connect with you, you have to stay grounded too.
Now we're going to help them feel safe. Remember that your avoidant partner feels easily overwhelmed by emotion. When you accept this as the reality of the situation and operate with that in mind, your language will reflect the empathy you have for them. What would it look or sound like if the main objective was to help your partner feel safe while expressing your needs? Well, here's an example script you can use. We'll share it entirely and then we'll break it down. It goes like this. Hey, do you have a minute to talk? There's something I want to share with you, but before I begin, I want to make sure that you know I'm not criticizing you or attacking you. I just want to share what I'm feeling about something that happened earlier. Would it be okay if I talk first, say what I need to say before you respond? So earlier when you said or did fill in the blank, it triggered me to feel fill in the blank. And this isn't all about you. I do have a history of feeling this way, and now you would share your old wounds, rejection, or other examples here. But it does get triggered when I hear or see you do fill in the blank. I know that you're not aware of all the wounds that live in me, and I don't expect you to be. But that's why I wanted to share this with you. Thank you for listening to me. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Let's break this down phrase by phrase. Hey, do you have a minute to talk? In this way, you're letting your partner know that you value their time and their mental capacity. This is a very diffusing way to begin a conversation. It allows your partner to say yes or no. And if they say no, then you could say, well, when would be a good time for you to talk? And they'll answer and you can go from there.
Next we have, there's something I want to share with you. The word share is softer than tell. Again, your focus is on helping them feel safe.
But before I begin, I just want to make sure that you know I'm not criticizing you or attacking you. I just want to share what I'm feeling about something that happened earlier. Letting them know that you aren't criticizing them in advance is important because most people tend to feel easily criticized, and you want to set the stage in advance. This is something I noticed. Here's what I'm thinking about it.
And would it be okay if I talk first and say what I need to say before you respond? This will set some appropriate ground rules in a gentle way. When couples fight, they tend to interrupt and talk over one another, and this triggers agitation from both sides. Effective conflict requires that one person talk at a time. If your partner has pushback to this, explore the pushback. If they don't have pushback, then...
So earlier, when you said or did blank, it triggered me to feel blank. And this is where you get to your root emotions. You're letting your partner know that you've thought it through and are calm about it, even though you're hurt. You're also eliminating any confusion about what you are or are not feeling.
And this isn't all about you. I do have a history of feeling this way, but it gets triggered when I hear or see you do. And this lets them know that your reaction isn't entirely because of what they did. It will alleviate some of the pressure they may feel for being responsible for your emotions. It will help them to feel less defensive and hopefully encourage them to get curious about the wound in you.
I know you're not aware of all the wounds that live in me, and I don't expect you to be. And that's why I wanted to share this with you. See, this is vulnerability. That's a vulnerable statement, and it puts them in a position to seek understanding about you. They'll be less defensive here.
Thank you for listening to me. Is there anything you'd like to say? Now you're inviting them to respond instead of demanding it. This also shows them that you value their need to process what you just said. And if they need a bit of time, it'll help them to know that you can give it to them. A script like this can help your partner feel safe. They still might not react the way you want them to, but getting into the habit of approaching conflict with them this way is a great way for you to model the kind of intentional interaction you want from them.
We know it can be hard to talk to an avoidant partner without triggering them. But there are some things you can do to help them out. Remember, contrary to popular belief, they do feel emotion. It's just proven to be unsafe for them, so they disengage from it. It's a pattern that has helped them get to where they are, and they won't be so quick to bail on it. So go slow, stay patient, and be consistent. If you found this video to be helpful, please subscribe, and we'll be posting more videos to help you heal your attachment and transform your relationship soon. See you next time.